Greetings. One of the really, really important, I almost want to say cutting edge parts of health is an increasing understanding in the importance of probiotics. A little confusing name. Antibiotics, probiotics, microbes. Probiotics are just any germ that is good for you living inside your gut. They don't live in your tissue. That would be an infection. They're not in your bloodstream. That's an invasion. But it's just in the tube that starts with your mouth and goes swiggling down through, right on out. That's where they live. Most specifically in the colon, the large intestine. It's not the long intestine, but it's the large intestine. And now I've got a story about that, and maybe I'll tell it. We're learning more and more that it is a symbiotic relationship, and the food that you eat feeds the bacteria that live inside of you, and the bacteria communicates through their own, say, hormones with you. They can be absorbed, those hormones, those metabolites, those byproducts of the microbes. It can get inside your bloodstream and act like a hormone, like a peptide, a little piece of protein that sort of acts. It conveys information. It stimulates action on a very subtle level. So, very common, say, yeast infections, candida. Well, that's biotic. It's not a probiotic. It's not good for you. It's a problem. And, well, what does yeast eat? Well, like sugar. And so when you have a high bad carb diet, that's not going to be a surprise that you provided the food, and the things that eat that food come. If you plow that field and plant those things, what do you expect will grow? Not a terribly apt metaphor, but you get my point. So the point that I want to make right now is probiotics eat something. They have to have food. They're living things, and they have their own diet that's ideal, and then being alive, they can do a certain amount of adapting, but if they're fed what they need and they are truly probiotics, then you're going to get some benefit. Okay, that's very general. I've talked about it before. Fat, when it rots, it's rancid, and that's just it in itself. It doesn't need the molecule oxidizes. It combines with an oxygen, and then it's rotten. It's just garbage. It's highly, I would say toxic. What's the word I'm looking for? It's what oh man, I hate it when this happens. Free radicals. Fats, rancid fats, are just chock-a-block full of. They act as free radicals, and that's like a bullet bouncing around inside a submarine, just off the middle, bang, 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 causing all kinds of damage. And the antioxidants in food, and you can get the pills, but there's some problems with the pills. The antioxidants in your food offset some of the problems with rancid fat. My point is that fat takes care of itself. It doesn't need any other microbes. Bad carbs, they ferment, and that's bacterial. And protein, it putrefies, and we've talked about that. And if you have too much protein and an imbalanced diet, then you've got all that putrefactive bacteria food, protein. You're providing the food, and so what kind of bacteria are you going to get? putrefactive bacteria. And isn't that a horrible word? But you did that by having too much protein, and you've just flooded the market. It's like good money, bad money drives out good. Counterfeit ruins the full faith and credit of the economy. And too much protein crowds out the possibilities for other benevolent things. Too much protein. I'm not going to go on about that, but the point is, if you feed it, it will grow. It's like the two wolves. There's probably from a movie somewhere. Yeah. Oh, ancient Chinese wisdom. Well, I don't know if it is, but it's in a movie. In any case, the beast that you feed is the one that's going to be powerful, and the microbe that you feed is going to be powerful. You don't want it to be putrefactive. All right, so let's get to the point. Good carbs are just chock-a-block full of fiber. And guess what good probiotics, what good bacteria eats? It's good as defined by the benefit that it gives you. That's our definition of good. And guess what? The plants that you eat bring their own probiotics with them. There's germs, there's microbes on the surface of the leaf. And not only on the surface, but in the the pores, as it were. You some of them you just can't wash off because they're in there. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So that when you eat these fiber sources, you're getting the nutrition, you're getting that benefit, and you're bringing along your good little friends. Say hello to your little friend, the probiotics. You're providing this beneficial bacteria with the food that it needs. So here's the point, or a point. The probiotic pills that you buy, there's a study rather recently, I seem to recall, but there's a correlation with a certain health problem. I'm vague on the details because, would you remember the details? Maybe I'll look it up. Ask, and I'll look it up for you. Probiotics can cause problems, the kinds in the pill. And I thought about that, and well, why is that? And my answer is, you took a pill full of, vital living bacteria. You took it, it got down into your colon, and guess what? The food that those bacteria would most like to eat isn't there. You didn't eat the right kind of fiber. And so what happens to the bacteria? It dies. And what happens when bacteria die? They rot. And they release, they turn into metabolites and just little, it's like when you do when you fix your diet, let's put it that way, when you cut out the very, very bad carbs, all that bread is nothing, and you're full of yeast infections, candida infestations, and you stop feeding it because you fixed up your diet, they start to die, the yeast, and you get sick, you get headaches, you feel bad, you're going through withdrawal symptoms, and some of that very bad feeling, I think the headaches, is the yeast is dying and just rotting into dead yeast bodies and releasing toxins. And that's why you feel so bad, because your body's now not full of just yeast, dying, dead yeast. It's full of their dead bodies that are full of toxins. It's not only the undesirable yeast that can do that. It's good probiotics as well. If they die, they're going to rot into toxic substances as well. That's my thinking about why probiotics can be bad for you, which is ridiculous, except they are if you don't feed them. If you just imported zombies into your body, not such a great idea. So that's, as I say, that's just, it's an example. So how do you get I want to supplement probiotics. And this is it's an action item, something that you can do. I have found, so nut butters and nut cheeses, and I'm a little vague on the precision of the vocabulary because I'm not a big gourmet guy, but you fermented, cultured nuts. I prefer the word cultured because fermented does have that alcohol connotation. Uh, you know, kind of the same thing, but cultured, you culture cheeses and you culture, what is it, sauerkraut. It's fermented, I guess, but it's sauerkraut, cultured. Uh, so this is what I do. I soak almonds overnight, however long. They plump up. That's about as much as they're going to get. Now, a problem with California, where I am, is it's California, no longer the Golden State, the lead state. Ruined, my beautiful state. Boo-hoo for me. Boo-hoo. But what California does is they pasteurize their almonds. Big crop, pasteurize it, because, you know, X number of years ago, somebody got E. coli or whatever because they ate California almonds. So the whole state has to sterilize its, steam it, or whatever, however they do it. The idea there is you may be killing all the enzymes, depends on how long and the temperature, but the whole purpose of this pasteurization is to kill any living thing on it. So there are no probiotics that come with the almonds. Why does you can just take cabbage, and you can put it in a pot or in a jar, and you just let it sit for some weeks, and it turns into sauerkraut. That's a little. It's a little almost scary. Is this safe to eat? I've made my own apple cider vinegar, and I did it. It worked, but it's a little scary. I guess it's alcohol for a while, and then it moves on from alcohol and turns into vinegar. Oh, it's an interesting process. You do the same thing with almonds, even though they're basically dead if they're California. And here's how I do it. I have the pills. I have the probiotic pills, and I'll soak the almonds overnight. I put them in a machine. I turn them into a paste, the almonds. Now it's a butter, as it were. I crack in the probiotic pill, and you let it sit overnight. You let it sit for a day, and it rises like a souffle, which is good. That tells you that the probiotics are growing, and the nut butter becomes tangy. If you leave it longer, it'll get even more and more and more tangy, which is, you know, there's too much. If it gets to be too much, then you just eat it with something. You have a fork full of salad and take some of the almond with, and it tones down the taste if it's too long. My point is, it's a workable thing. And the probiotics that you buy, and if you just eat them alone, there's no prebiotic with them, then they gotta eat. They've got to, and so the nut cheeses, the fermented nuts, is a really, really good way of keeping the microbiome that lives inside your gut, keeping it healthy. The richer the environment, which is basically the more kinds of leafy greens. Each one of those is going to have its own population. It's not just all the same microbes. They're going to be specialized to that brand of fiber. So this is one of the reasons that you want to have that wide variety. It's not just the nutritional profile. It's also the probiotic profile. All right. I used to teach. I taught, among other things, I taught health. And I used to tell the kids, and it's true, there are 10 times more cells in your body. How did I say it? there's more DNA in your body that is not yours, 10 times more than DNA that is yours. If you've got 1,000,000,000,000 cells, there are 10 trillion microbes living in your gut. Now, is that true? You read it. Who did the counting? And these numbers change. And what were the individuals where they got these numbers from? And did they do it with corpses or the fecal matter of healthy people or sick people? All kinds of confounding variables. Don't worry about it. The takeaway is that there are a lot of different species living inside you. You are a universe. Again, the story is, and maybe it's true, there are about 4, I think, or 5 pounds of microbes living inside your body. Now, I'm a pretty skeptical guy. Where are they? Oh, they're in your colon. Oh, so there's 4 pounds in that 3 feet of gut. I've seen colonoscopies, not my own, but you can find them online, and it's pretty interesting. You look at a cancerous colon, it looks like it has a cancerous colon. Where are the microbes? I don't know. They're there. You know they're there. 4 pounds of it? Okay, somehow. They're very, 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 very small. That's how you can fit so many into such a small, much smaller than a human cell. 100,000 times, however, whatever the number is, much smaller. So the point that I want to make, well, a couple of things. When you cook vegetables, you make the nutrients more available. The whatever specific chemical name has been identified for the plants, you get more of them because you broke up the fiber. It's basically a kind of digestion. It's more bioavailable. This is a good thing. But aside from the nutrients, which may be improved, you've killed all the enzymes. And I really haven't talked about enzymes yet, but I will. Enzymes are like robots. They're little robots. They're not alive, but they're catalysts. They get a job done. They break up a bond, and then they go and break up another bond, a molecular bond, and they do it again and again and again. They help with digestion, and they don't die. They just wear out. So they're not alive. They can't die, but they keep on doing this. They become vitiated. They lose their, I don't even want to say magical, but their lifelike quality. So we want food with a lot of enzymes, because either the food provides its own enzymes, which they do, or you have to make them. Your body has to do this extra work. And when you're young, you say, yeah, my body can do that. And when you're older, your body doesn't do it as well. And you have to be more, you have to be wiser. You have to be more, husband your resources better. So when you cook food, you kill the enzymes, or whatever. It's like dehydrating food. If you do it at low enough temperature, I think it's depends, but say under 114 or 114 and below, you don't kill the enzymes. You're just sucking the water out. You did not damage the enzymes. And you also have not killed, which is the other problem with cooking, you did not kill the probiotics. There's still bacteria on them, and that's a good thing, unless it's salmonella or E. coli. But the number of deadly, dangerous bacteria much smaller than the population of benevolent bacteria. So when you cook plant material, you're killing it. It is dead. It has nutrients, but it's dead. It's dead in 2 ways. The living bacteria are dead, and the enzymes are dead. Well, this is a problem, because now your you're taking this dead stuff into your body and you're extracting the nutrients, but it still is just this dead stuff. I don't want it to be dead. I want it to be alive. The difference between cooked vegetables and raw vegetables, well, cooked maybe even more, it's more palatable, it's more tastier, but it's also deader. So here's a solution. You eat some raw vegetables along with the cooked vegetables. If you have just one leaf, maybe like one stalk of broccoli, you cook your broccoli, but you left one branch off. That's got enzymes in it, and that has probiotics in it. And it's not going to be a lot of enzymes. It is what it is, but they don't just stop once they do one job. And the probiotics, they're just going to thrive. So you heard it here first. That's an original idea, observation. Maybe it's not, but I've never heard it. Of course, I don't hear everything, but I expect that you heard it here first. You have some living of that same food, sort of an almost alchemical idea. It's a complicated subject. I think I've forgotten my point. I think I'll stop here. Yeah, I will. I hate to stop on a low note. Just to summarize then. Cook your vegetables. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say. See, I stalled. I tap danced until I got there. Now I'm going to talk until I forget it again. No. Frozen vegetables, they're blanched. They put heat onto them to kill bacteria so that they will last longer, which is good. You know, I want my frozen vegetables to last longer. But it's bad because you kill the enzymes. I had to go looking for this. It's not a common bit of knowledge. I mean, it's not hard to find, but who would think of that? So when even frozen vegetables, I used to say frozen is as good as fresh. And I was wrong, because if they were flash frozen without being blanched, exposed to a very high heat, then they would be. And then being me, I said, well, how can we fix this problem? Because frozen is very convenient. It's not the berries. They don't blanch berries because they wouldn't survive the heat. So berries are a different thing. But frozen vegetables, there's a fix. And that is you have the peppers and the peas and the broccoli and cauliflower, the living stuff. If you freeze that yourself, fresh, and you freeze it, well, then it's not blanched, so they will have the bacteria and the enzymes. So that's a solution. And look, it's a little bit complicated because it's an extra step. You've got to do this. But I've been talking about the best practice. It's nutrition stuff, but it's lifestyle stuff. And there's very much more to be said about that, about getting organized so that all of this complicated stuff is really, you can systematize it. And then it's just a few minutes a day, but you get organized in 1 day a week, and then you got a week organized. I won't go on about that. So I tap danced until I thought of the point that I wanted to make, which is about blanched so that they're not full of probiotics and enzymes. And so there's something you have to do about that. But any food that you eat is any fibrous food that you're going to eat, it's going to bring with it the probiotics that are going to be beneficial for you. If you're just eating dead food, then you're not feeding your probiotics, so it's not going to be a healthy community, and it is very likely to be an unhealthy community. And the thing is, something is going to live inside your gut. You can choose, or you can be random. And if you're random, you're going to be chock-a-block full of infestations. And if you're not random, then you're I have I'm very confident about that your health, your general health, will start to change, to improve. Yeah. So I'll end it there. I'll come back to this topic because it's very important, but we'll leave it there for now. Have a great day.